I don't know. Some people sometimes ask me, they're like, how did you get into cameras or how did you get into what you do now? And I said, well, I got sober. The goal is to just take a boat and pull it over a mountain and you're all working together. Like that's art and that's a good accomplishment.
This is Folded Curiosity.
I'm I'm a big fan of Werner Herzog, and I had the opportunity to meet him and basically pick his brain. And he explained to me that if you just like doing what you like doing and you just help each other, pulling a boat over a mountain, like the goal is to just take a boat and pull it over a mountain and you're all working together. Like that's art and that's a good accomplishment. And that's the goal, is to just help every project pull the boat over the mountain. And I feel like
That's a great metaphor. Pull the boat, because that's literally what it feels like.
every project is pulling a boat over a mountain. Some are very small mountains to pull it over, but there's mountains that are very difficult to pull the boat over. And,
False summits and
you know, like, so I, it takes a team of people to just get the project done. So, you know, we're all one unit and we'll all do it together.
You said something interesting there, that you said that one time your ego, and I'm gonna jumble your words here,
Sure.
so forgive me, but you said something that one time at one point your ego was sort of running the show, I guess.
Yeah, I think, uh, I think, so I think in the past, like there have been times where, um, I've been very selfish, and still today I can have these moments where I'm very selfish, and I just have to check that, and I have to, you know, be very conscious of that, because if I'm not, like, it can get me into trouble. I feel like, and it's difficult because it's
Yeah.
always going. And my friend John told me this great saying. He says, "My ego is not my amigo," so I constantly have to like think about that. But yes, there was a point where I was struggling and I was having a really hard time in life, and a lot of it I just was having issues, and I just sort of needed an ego check, and got the help that I needed, and you know, brought it back together, and you know.
Can you talk to me about that? Like, what was that? Like, was there? Do you feel comfortable telling me, or?
Yeah, so in the early 2000s, I was a set production assistant, and I was struggling with alcohol, and it became a really big problem, and I needed to, you know, it was very difficult, and I needed to get help, and I had to go into a couple of different centers, and you know, a couple centers later, I finally figured it out, and that was my problem. And again, because of my ego, and it's like a whole bunch of other things, and like, you know, obviously alcohol wasn't the problem; it was helping get rid of the problem. But
And the problem was,
I think the problem was like having trouble sleeping at night, you know, just the stresses of life and problems and relationships, and, you know, being able to like have a drink and making that go away for 2 or 3 hours. You know, it's like going on vacation,
yeah,
like wrap from work, go home. I'm going to go on vacation for like 3 or 4 hours and then like go to bed and wake up and do it again. And just, you know, it can be, it can be a bad problem. And but I definitely have a very addictive personality, and like where that comes from, I don't know.
yeah.
But it's, you know, again, with the alcohol, I think it turns into this ego thing, and you know, it's I'm glad that I took care of that. And I don't know. Some people sometimes ask me, they're like, how did you get into cameras, or how did you get into what you do now? And I said, well, I got sober. You know, I took, or I took something, I took something that I was really into and always focusing on, right? So like I'm at work and I'm thinking, okay, I can't wait to get home. I'm going to wrap at like 6 or 7. I'm going to go home and get some booze, drink, whatever. And my focus was on that. And I feel like when you eliminate something that you're focused on that you do every day and you replace it with something else, like, I don't know, collecting cameras or collecting records, or I don't know, getting into something else, something positive, that's a healthy change. And at the time when I was getting sober, I really focused on cameras and photography, and I always wanted to be in the camera department. I always wanted to I don't know, just shoot things and just photograph things, record things. So yeah.
And that was that from a childhood that you had this interest in, or was this just curiosity, the mechanics of it, or the, like, what drove, was there something that drove that interest?
You know, I don't know. Just I'm into cameras. Are fascinating to me because they're like time traveling machines, but they don't go to the future. They go to the past, and so we can record the past, and then in the future we can look at the past and be like, oh wow, like that's an interesting tree or an interesting design of a building or clothing. Like we learn from this. You know, and the photography's only been around for what, like 100 years, 130 years.
Yeah.
Not that long, you know? So we're like time traveling and being able to look at the past and learn from the past. And I obviously, like, we learn from the past through writing, but we're recording the past and we're learning from that. And there's something that's interesting to me about just being able to record things like that. I mean, we can record movies and dramas and fictional things, but I really like that we can record other things. Yeah, so
That's fascinating. I like hearing different people's, perspective of how they got, I guess they got into it. So you basically overcame, I mean, you overcame something pretty monumental that a lot of people struggle with their entire lives. It seems like you addressed that pretty quickly. That's no small feat,
Thank you for saying that. It was a struggle, and it was a couple years of making a lot of mistakes and making a lot of amends, and I'm super grateful for my family and my mom and my dad, and for just helping me. And I don't want to start crying. But it was tough. But I don't take it back. I am so appreciative that I went through that, and I can look back on that. And there's just like, it's just lives lived, and you do go through these things, and you have these problems, and hopefully there's something positive that comes from it. And
watch the full episode this Thursday.